Hi, welcome to Sony Alpha Classroom, newest course of color grading. My name is Naveen Shetty and I'll be your instructor this season, taking you through a range of topics such as digital intermediate workflow, color grading technique, and the collaborative relationship between a cinematographer and a colorist. But before we dive into the technical, let's take a step back and understand how we got here. When I started my career in 1996, the industry looked very different. Color wasn't something just adjusted with a few clicks on the screen. It was a chemical process dictated by film stock, lab condition, and the expertise of a handful of specialists. I began my journey at Ad Labs, a film processing lab, where I spent my days surrounded by negatives, prints, and the unmistakable smell of developing chemicals. It was here that I learned to read an image, not just as a picture, but as a combination of exposure, contrast, and the color bias. There was no digital preview, no real-time correction. A cinematographer had to trust their instinct, and a colorist had to develop an eye for the nuance and ability to anticipate how an image would react to a grading process even before it hits the screen. Back then, we worked on a grading machine like a Hazeltine and a Color Master, primitive by the today's standard, but foundational in shaping how I saw the image. I remember watching reels being processed, understanding how different Kodak stocks like 250D and 500T responded to lights. Every choice a cinematographer made on the set, from the type of film stocks to how they exposed their shots, dictated how much flexibility they have in post-production. The process was slow, integrate, and entirely dependent on experience. Fast forward to today, and the landscape is completely different. Instead of film stocks determining the looks of the image, we now have LUTs that allow us to shape color instantly. Where once we had to rely on film natural contrast and the chemical processing, now we have to manipulate dynamic range in cameras to control the highlights, shadows, midtones in ways that were unimaginable before. The tools may have changed, but the fundamentals of light, exposure, and intent remain the same. Digital intermediate has revolutionized the way we handle colors. Instead of working with physical negative, we now have raw digital files, giving us immense control over the image from set to screen. What used to be an entirely chemical process is now a mix of art and technology. Precision meets creative, and yet the fundamentals remains the same. Strong understanding of exposure, color balance, and intent is just as crucial today as it was in the film era.
So today we are going to speak about LUTs, and to have good example, we will be working on a live grading today for a bike commercial which I recently worked on. We set a primary look to the film like a starting point. It's not necessary that this is going to be the look of the film. When you have your whole edit ready, the look changes too, depending on the look and the feel of the edit. So let's start our session with a Harley Davidson's bike commercial. It's shot on a Sony Venice, and the director of the film is Vinit Bagga, shot by Tasadduk. I had got a briefing from him that this film needs to be sleek, more Indian mixed with a little bit of Western style to it, because it's an international brand. It's shot with a lot of mixed color, a lot of night shoots. At the same time, there are a lot of day shoots. There are montages. So it needs to explore as a pan-India sort of a bike. So basically, I have my own tree node which I create because all this becomes very easier to grade. Like I create an exposure sort of a node, contrast, white balance, primary, temperature. I design the temperature if it's needed to be cold or warm depending on the footage, and then probably a balance, and then separate node for a saturation. And there's something which is really added up right now is a high dynamic thing, which probably an overexposed thing. If you want a better latitude towards that, and high dynamic can be used in such fashion. And let's start balancing the footage. Basically, when I balance, I look at certain things like my black level midtones and the white point. It needs to come to a level where it looks a good contrast with all the information inside that. And okay, this is my good balance, and I did this white balance thing in my particular node, and then I added a contrast in that contrast section node. The exposure, I got it down. Now I add some sort of a vignetting to create more depth. As it's a bike commercial, your hero has to be a bike. The bike needs to pop up. So this is more of a look, a neutral look with a mixed color light. This could be one of my look. Normally, the directors and cinematographers might want to have another look and feel to particular image. So I normally create 2-3 different looks. So in this commercial also, I have done a bit of more colder feel as a look, one of the look, and another one I have given as an earthy feel, So when I say it's a colder look, colder is more towards a bit of desat, with white balance going towards a colder feel, not too cold, but keeping that electric feel and having that bike popped up, so it gives you a separation to it. So basically, earthy tone, sometimes we try to use it not for the nights but majorly for the day shots when it is more landscape, because Indians have brown skin tone, so it goes very well with the whole palette. And also there's a lot of greeneries to it. Having a little brown to the green also gives you a bit of style to it. So that idea was shared with the director and cinematographers with more options to it. And then we settle down to a space where it doesn't look too pushed, but it looks sleek, more cinematic, but still there's a style to it.
Color grading is more than just making an image look good. It's about shaping emotions, guiding the viewer's experience, and ultimately supporting the story. In the next episode, we'll dive into one of the most important relationships in filmmaking, the collaboration between the cinematographer and the colorist, because no great image happens in isolation. See you in episode 2. Until then, keep sharing your work with us online using the hashtag LearnWithSony. Happy grading.